Poor sense of direction, anxiety, and lonerism can lead any human to death. This Iron Lady experienced all of this the moment she decided she wanted to conquer the wild Appalachian Trail by herself. Yes, her fate was tragic, but this is the story of a nurse thinking in mind that she could achieve something big. This is the tragic death story of Geraldine Largay. Deep in the remote wilderness of Maine, a woman named Geraldine Largay was born into a humble family. She spent her early years surrounded by the breathtaking beauty of nature. The towering pines and winding rivers became her playground, nurturing a love for the outdoors that would define her existence. As she grew older, Geraldine's thirst for knowledge became insatiable. Driven by a hunger for education, she pursued her studies with unwavering determination. Gradually, the small-town girl transformed into an erudite woman, acquiring a wealth of knowledge that surpassed the boundaries of her humble beginnings. Geraldine settled in the quaint town of Brentwood, a haven nestled amidst the picturesque landscapes of New Hampshire. As her first profession, Geraldine dedicated herself to the noble profession of nursing. With her caring nature and empathetic spirit, she sought to ease the suffering of others and provide comfort in times of need. It was here that she found solace, enveloped by a community that embraced her with open arms. The town's close-knit atmosphere mirrored her own desire for connection and human companionship. Yet, beneath the surface of her peaceful existence, Geraldine harbored an insatiable passion for adventure. Her heart yearned for the vast expanses of the untamed wilderness. With every spare moment, she would escape the confines of civilization, venturing into the rugged terrain that lay beyond her doorstep. Driven by this ardor for exploration, Geraldine embarked on many remarkable journeys. 2013, it was the time when the profession of a thru hiker started beckoning her, calling her to conquer the legendary Appalachian Trail. But fate had something different written for her. Amidst her Appalachian odyssey, she vanished without a trace. As the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, the wilderness swallowed her whole, leaving behind unanswered questions and a trail of uncertainty. What happened to Geraldine Largay on that fateful day? How did she disappear without a trace? Yes, we have more questions than answers as of now, but this is how her tragic story went. For miles upon miles, she trekked through untamed landscapes, basking in the splendor of nature and challenging her own physical and mental limits. Remember, this terrain is so wild that it is used by the military for training service personnel. Armed with a black-covered notebook, she chronicled her experiences, unaware of the tragic turn her adventure would take. As she lost her way in the wilderness, her writings became a testament to her resilience and unwavering spirit. On the morning of Geraldine Largay's disappearance, her husband George was in close proximity, having driven to the Route 27 crossing. The crossing stood approximately 22 miles away from the shelter where Geraldine was last spotted. For those who don't know, this is a mammoth 2,168-mile long trek, and she had already conquered over 1,000 miles of its challenging terrain. Like numerous hikers, she had adopted a trail name Itchworm, a playful nod to her deliberate pace. Throughout her journey, George would meet her at various points along the trail, providing brief reunions and resupplying her with necessary provisions. In an interview, her husband George said that hiking the Appalachian Trail, sleeping in tents, and wearing the same stuff for 3 and 4 days in the rain, not on my bucket list, but she needed to be supported on the hike because she had limits on what she could carry. So I simply had to say, okay, suck it up. What's 6 months in the grand scheme of things? So I did it. According to the investigation documents, it was revealed that Geraldine Largay lost her way. She made an attempt to send a text message to her husband. At approximately 11 a.m. on that day, she wrote, "In some trouble, got off trail to go BR, now lost. Can you call AMC to see if a trail maintainer can help me? Somewhere north of Woods Road? XOX." Throughout her ordeal, Geraldine clung to hope, even as her provisions were dwindled, and her chances of rescue grew dim. In her final entry, a haunting acceptance of her fate emerged. She penned a poignant message, pleading that when her body was discovered, her husband and daughter be informed, providing them closure and solace. In the midst of poor or non-existent cell service, Geraldine Largay's attempt to send a text message were in vain. She sought higher grounds in hope of improving her chances of connecting, but despite her efforts, the text failed to go through. Undeterred, she made 10 more attempts within the next hour and a half, before eventually deciding to set up camp for the night. The following day, Geraldine made another endeavor to send a text message. At 4:18 p.m., she composed a message that unfortunately remained undelivered. "Lost since yesterday, off trail 3 or 4 miles. Call police for what to do, please. XOX." Growing increasingly concerned, George Largay initiated an official search the following day. The search efforts expanded beyond the warden service, involving search aircraft, state police, National Park Rangers, and the local fire departments. They diligently pursued leads from fellow hikers, scoured side trails, and employed trained dogs in the quest to find Geraldine. However, their efforts yielded no results. Heavy rainfall during that week further obscured the trail, leaving Geraldine lost, her face becoming a familiar sight on trail signposts for other hikers to be on the lookout for. Two years would pass before a surveyor from a lodging company stumbled upon Geraldine's campsite and remains, ending the agonizing uncertainty that had plagued her loved ones and defied extensive search efforts. It was revealed that the retired nurse from Tennessee had managed to survive nearly a month alone in the wilderness, defying all odds, before succumbing to exposure and starvation. The Maine Warden Service released over 1,500 pages of files pertaining to Geraldine's disappearance. These documents shed light on the fears that gripped her family and friends, and the arduous search that followed countless false leads. The files contained fragments from her journal, as well as desperate text messages she tried to send to her husband from an area devoid of cell tower signals, the ones we just discussed earlier. Tragically, despite her meticulous planning and clubbable nature, Geraldine had a poor sense of direction and struggled when faced with navigational challenges. She persisted on a trail even after her hiking companion Jane Lee had to depart due to a family emergency. It became apparent that Geraldine's husband George had not fully comprehended the extent of her limitations and anxieties. In her darkest hours, deprived of her anxiety medication, Geraldine battled panic attacks. Desperate attempts to find her way back to the trail were in vain, as the dense underbrush and disorienting landscape confounded her. She sought the high ground, hoping to gain a signal, but her messages were unanswered. She established a camp marked by a makeshift signal and remnants of a fire, as she clung to the dwindling hope of rescue. Despite the extensive search efforts, including foot patrols, helicopters, and assistance from volunteers, Geraldine remained elusive. False tips flooded in, and speculations about her fate ran rampant. The search was eventually scaled back, but Geraldine persisted in her journal, recording her observations and writing heartfelt letters to her family until August 10. Ultimately, on October 14, 2015, Geraldine's remains were discovered inside her sleeping bag at the campsite she had diligently maintained until the very end. The area was adorned with her belongings, serving as poignant reminders of her journey and indomitable spirit. In the wake of this tragedy, a white wooden cross adorned with messages of love and longing was placed at the site by Geraldine's family, symbolizing their profound grief and lasting impact of her untimely demise. "I wish you were here," written by a child in her last place, shows how impactful she was throughout her life. Subscribe to Adventure Uncovered for more blues from the world of adventure. We have made a groundbreaking documentary on the tragic death of caver Floyd Collins, another story that would shake you to the core if you click on this video link popping on your screen.